Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video review, I want to talk about Litecoin and why I think Litecoin is looking predominantly bullish compared to a lot of cryptocurrencies in the market right now, especially the bigger ones, the big three, big four, whatever you want to call it. Sorry I wasn't able to make the video yesterday. I was actually planning to make that video last night, but it was my birthday and my wife decided to take me out for a surprise dinner, and we had some guest overs yesterday, so sorry I couldn't make any videos. My apologies for that. So today, so let's get on to Litecoin. So Litecoin, we actually called Litecoin last week. Early last week, thanks to one of the viewer Pamela, who actually pointed it out, and then I looked at more into the chart. It looked really bullish in my opinion, and also some of the things that I was thinking why Litecoin would be an ideal candidate for a nice bounce when the overall market turns, and it will be one of those coin that can have a bigger return compared to Ethereum or Bitcoin, just because, like, you know, is people fundamental about having a getting one coin, one whole coin compared to, like, you know, fraction of a coin. And then at the same time, some also very fundamental news came out of Litecoin that really pushed the coin much higher as well. So the timing also worked out, and overall the chart pattern and the other, like, you know, thinking behind everything came into the equation. So it was a just perfect trade. All right. So all in all, Litecoin had an initial breakdown right around the February 2nd time frame. That's when I started loading up Litecoin. I made a quick trade on Litecoin. I sold some of the position, then I bought it again in the second dip, especially when the overall market was making a new low and Litecoin was holding up on its own. So if you look at Litecoin, this is the daily time frame, and the data on this chart is coming from the Coinbase exchange. If you look at the daily, this is the upward resistance trend line that we drew, which is coming all the way from their all-time high, which was in somewhere around December 12th. Yeah, December 12th was their all-time high, around $400, and this trend line, the upper resistance trend line, is coming all the way from there. We tried to pierce that trend line on February the 4th, and we did not work. It did not work. When the initial bounce happened over the weekend, it did not quite work out. We sold off. We tried to pierce this, but we came right back, sold off. Then we had this when the overall market improved, Litecoin was the first one to start climbing. And what I'm seeing right now, as of right now, that Litecoin is trying to make a break of the trend line again. So what I see in Litecoin today is, if we make by, let's say, by the afternoon Eastern time, if we see enough push in Litecoin, or if we see enough push in the overall market, I can see Litecoin breaking this the 10-day moving average on the daily. I can see that breaking this resistance line on the daily, which is significant. And if that happens, I will bet you a lot of investors will come in. Okay, a lot of investors will come into Litecoin, and it is just looking quite nicely bullish right now. For the upside, I want to make some of the resistance levels, since we are coming at those resistance right now. So watch out for the level for 165. That's going to be the intermediate resistance. That was our support previously from almost January 22nd to January 26th. So that was a nice support base back in January, and now it will act as a resistance. Okay, so keep that in mind. So 165 will be the, for intermediate, that will be the resistance. What we want to see is we don't want to, like, you know, come back down on this trend line. So we basically want to finish above this trend line the day. We want to finish above the trend line, and then we need to have the second push up for the Litecoin. Okay, let's look at the smaller time frame in Litecoin. So if I look at the 4-hour time frame in Litecoin and just consolidate this candlesticks. So if you, as I said before, you know, this is the nice W, a double bottom you can call it, that happened, and this patterns, this double bottom patterns are quite bullish if it can break this resistance line. So 174, we watch out for that resistance line as well. Let me just tick mark that, because that was the over the weekend when we had the run in Litecoin, but did not follow through because of the overall market sell-off. That's the 175 was the mark that we stopped at. So we want to see, once we break that 165, we want to make sure that we are going through that 175 as well, because that was the previous high. That was the previous high, and we want to make sure we are above, we are going past that in Litecoin. So we made that double bottom right here when the overall market was making new lows. Litecoin did not make the new lows, and that's always a very bullish sign, not just in Litecoin, in any coin or any stock. Always watch out for those indicators. Let's say if there is, like, you know, if you have any stock or any coin that that previously made a low, but now when the overall market is selling off again, it's not making a new lows like overall market. That's a very good indicator that there are more longer term buyers in this coin, or who are buyers who are willing to hold this downtrend, or willing to hold it throughout this downtrend, because they really believe in the fundamental. They are holding it for the long term. So that's a good sign. So the reason the Litecoin did not make that new low like overall market did is because the people who bought Litecoin, they're willing to hold on to it. They're not ready to sell their Litecoin, because they think that when the market turns, Litecoin will be one of the early contenders to go up on the top, because of the fundamental shift, because of the people who are holding based on their strategies, whatever it could be. It could be, you know, some ETF, or not some ETF, but some hedge fund might be coming into crypto and pumping it down to Litecoin. You know, they're spreading their bets on either Litecoin, Bitcoin, and they think the Litecoin is looking bullish. So it could be multiple of things. But what I'm trying to say is, the reason it did not go is because people who are in Litecoin are willing to keep their Litecoin and not willing to sell it at 105, or, like, you know, at that level, or very few people are willing to sell it at that level. Let me put it that way. So there is a higher demand, and supply is low on the sell side. So that's why it retained that price level. That's why it did not make a new lows like a lot of other cryptocurrencies that did. Okay, so Litecoin, as I said, I like Litecoin. I'm holding it right now. I'm gonna see this resistance level. I'm gonna put some stop losses on it just to be safe. So overall, I think the market is let's wrap up Litecoin, and then I'll talk about the market. So I was looking at the Litecoin, and let's look at some news. What's coming out for Litecoin news? So something that you can always do is, like, you know, put a coin like a Bitcoin or whatever Litecoin, and then click on Google News, and that will, like, pull up all the data that is out there right now on internet, and basically it will give you everything that is related to Litecoin, or, like, then whenever they mention Litecoin. So here's why now is a great time to pick a Litecoin, so you can read up on it. Litecoin price bounce off the firm support, FX Street. Litecoin price forecast, Charlie Lee, who is the founder. I looked at it, and that's fine. Ethereum World, let's look at the chart. I think someone is trying to show some chart. So things about chart is people have every analyst have their own chart patterns, and they're like as an analyst, as a technical analyst, what is really I have been in this game for last 14 years, and what I have really worked for me is really you shouldn't be getting stuck with one type of methodology or technique or any let's say if you are like a Fibonacci trader, you shouldn't get stuck with just Fibonacci. Or let's say if you're Elliott wave trader, you shouldn't get stuck with Elliott wave. What I'm trying to say is you really have to adapt in this market or in this world. You really have to adapt to a coin, or like a equity, their graph, because like all this is a pattern. It's just a pattern of people, how they're trading, how they're thinking, their thought process behind it, and that's all, and it's very different from a coin to coin or like a equity to equity. People who are in Litecoin are like different than people like majority of them, like it's very like a unique set of people, and obviously the fundamentals are different, the headline news are different, so you have to adapt. Yeah, certain things always, the trend line supports and all those things are like very basic things, but like you have to adapt as a technical analyst as well. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess. And I see like a lot of traders get hung up with like certain like methodology, like a Fibonacci, like Elliott wave, and then they're like, oh, this have broken now this is no good, it's not bouncing off that 50% retracement or 68% retracement. But you have to really have to adapt. And if you have seen my YouTube page, on about page, I have this quote from on how like it's not the Darwin quote, like it's not the most strongest or the smartest species that survive, is the one that is really adaptive to the change that survives. All right, and humans are very adapted to change. Human mind, human body is very adapted to change, and that's what I'm trying to say, is like you have to constantly adapt. The reason right now like people are coming into cryptocurrency is because they are adapting. Like I never would have thought about coming into crypto. All my life I have been an equity and like futures trader. I wouldn't have like really, but you see there's a potential, you see there's a marketplace, so you have to adapt. And I adapted, my trading style adapted, my risk level and everything, like, so you have to adapt as a human being, as an investor, so that's how you become like agile. That's how you become, like, if you get stuck with like certain methodology, certain theory, you won't be able to adapt in your trading, and your returns, your like just your investment will be mediocre, or might be even it will be like it won't be anything new. The reason a lot of the hedge funds are like hedge funds are like so successful is because they're like they're adaptive. They adapt to the current situation. They adapt to like the marketplace. And the bigger funds, the retirement funds and all that, they are like big dinosaurs. They are like there to just keep, they keep constant money. They get that money from the employers and all that, but they're not really adapting. They're like they're because they're too big to adapt, because like their size and their everything is so like large, on such a large scale. it's hard for them to, like, you know, make a U-turn and have a completely new methodology. So it's very hard for them to adapt. But good thing about, like, you know, a retail investor like like you, myself, you know, if we are very agile, you know, we can get in and out of the trade quite fast. And so so that's my kind of speech on adapting, and I'm very a firm believer of that. And if you have, like, you know, as I said, if I really believe in adapting to the situation. Otherwise, I mean, you don't have to be the smartest guy. In my opinion, you don't have to be the smartest or the, like, it's just the framework should be, like, you know, making adjustment. Because no one can be perfect. Let me tell you that no one can be. As much you know, you can do your research, you can do your technical analysis, your fundamental. You cannot pinpoint the bottom or pinpoint the top. I will be honest with you. No one can. And if someone tells you that, hey, I you know, I just bought it right at that, I knew it, that's he got lucky. All right, 10 out of 2 times or 3 times maybe he can point it on right there, but that's extreme. But most of the time it's like, if you're pointing right on the dot, you are like, I mean, obviously, like, you know, you got lucky. All right, so it's not like, but what I'm trying to say is, like, stay adaptive, stay agile, don't get hung up on one things or over others. So that will help you in your trade. Okay, so sorry about that quick speech on, like, you know, how you should be adaptive and agile in your approach, but I think that should be very important as a trader. So okay, so look at the Bitcoin. I'm looking at the Bitcoin chart. This is we talked about Bitcoin previously. So it broke down, it made that new low, and this is when I made the call right around that 6100 mark, that hey, this is it. I think we are gonna see the reversal. It was day before yesterday night, Eastern time. That's when I made that call. I have in my last video. You can go back to the video and see it. I was watching the futures market. I was watching the you know, the equity market, and you know, everything was turning, was completely oversold, and I knew it. I just knew it. That is, by the daytime, when you see, when the traders comes in, it will, like, you know, pump. It will come back in. So right now, if you're looking at the market, you know, there was a huge bounce that came right after that call, and you know, we almost hit that 23,000 mark on the Dow Jones. Almost, like, I think it was 2,500 or something on S&P. That was the low that we made day before, and since we have been bouncing off on that. So keep an eye on this equity market, because this is gonna be, again, I'm gonna tell you, this is the sell-off in the crypto that happened, the second wave down that happened in crypto. This wasn't related to any shift in the fundamental shift in Bitcoin or, like, cryptocurrency. This second leg down in crypto, in my opinion, completely was a part of this equity sellings. All right, it was completely the part of the equity selling. It had nothing to do with the crypto. All the crypto headlines were already out in the market. All the FUD, whatever you want to call it, was already out in the market. And this second leg down that happened was completely based on this overall global sell-off of the market. Okay, so I hope keep eye on the equity market as well, because that will indicate a lot of things. Because it's, investor get little bit, like, worried on, like, hey, what is going on? Is there a big you know, like recession coming, or what's going on? Like, you know, so that will obviously a lot of investors, even in crypto, will start pulling their money out, because the big investor want to have, like, security, and they will start putting that money in the fiat, in the dollar, in this case in US. It's one of the strongest currencies, so people tend to do that. Longer term for Bitcoin, we are bouncing right off that. We are still in that wedge action, so we're not out of the bush yet. So let me tell you, we are not completely out of the bushes yet. We have seen it time and time again that this upper resistance trend line. We try to break it, we came right back. We try to have a push, came right back. Let's see if we can come through this. For intermediate, we have this the 10-day moving average coming up right at 8,900. So watch out for the 8,900 level on Bitcoin for intermediate. Okay, 8,900 level will be the watch out for intermediate. Let's see if we can get out of that. We need volume. We need like higher volume. We need a lot of new investors needs to come in to push it higher. We cannot get it higher with the existing investors. We need more bulls on this side in order to get it higher with a higher volume. If we get it with a higher volume, that will bring a lot of confidence in the market, knowing that there are new traders are coming in, new investors are coming in, and that's what we exactly need. All right. So just to wrap it up, in my opinion, Litecoin is looking very nicely bullish right now compared to a lot of other big 3, big 4 coins, and I think Litecoin can make a run toward that 180 mark, 200 mark fairly soon if the overall market stays positive. Also keep an eye on the equity market. That will also give you a lot of good indicators on how things will pan out. Okay, so guys, I hope this was helpful. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Please hit that like button if you think this video was helpful, and I will be posting more content for you. All right, thank you.